my gosh, long time no see. I have to do this quick because it's literally about to rain and I'm also leaving for the airport, and I'm choosing to do this last minute. But hi, oh my god, it's been a minute. I hope you can hear me over this wind. It's like like, why am I choosing to do this right now? But it's okay, we're gonna make it work. You're like sitting on a chair right now. I'm in Puerto Rico. I was visiting my parents. It's literally my last day, but I thought it'd be fitting to start off again my YouTube where I started it. But I still live in Miami. I just, you know, life. YouTube's a lot of work, editing, and I was also just like lost and I don't know what I was doing with my life. But I know now. I know a little bit of what I'm doing now, and that's why I decided to start YouTubing again, because I wanted to share the whole process of this new journey that I am starting, and I want to take you along, and I also want to look back at this whole process one day and be like, dang, that's what I was doing then. Or yeah, so this is gonna be fun, I promise, and y'all are gonna want to stick around. Okay, I promise it's gonna be fun. I'm just praying that y'all can hear me with like the rain, the wind, the dog. Pray that you can hear me, okay? Listen, as you could probably tell from like my last videos that I posted on here, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what I was doing. Dude, that dog is driving me nuts. I didn't know what I was doing because life, and I always knew growing up that I wanted to have my own fashion brand. Ever since I was extremely young, and I started on this journey since I was 13 of like consistently working towards that goal, doing internships, doing projects, like just going ham. Then I got to 21 and I had my own small slow fashion brand, and that was amazing. And I was very grateful that I was able to make that, because everything's a learning lesson. If it wasn't for shooting my shot and starting that brand in 2020, I would have never gotten here. So what I've learned from that experience, and what I've learned this past year, is that I don't want to have just like a basic brand that I'm making and selling clothing, because I don't know, that's just, ever since like I was young, I always wanted to have like a mission, like a purpose of like helping or changing the world or whatever, you know. And like, I still feel that way, and I still want to make that a reality. And of course the industry is just so you know, and I didn't want to be like a part of it, but like I love fashion, and I can't just like give up my dreams because the industry is messed up. Instead, I'm motivated to change it and impact it in a positive way. So I have rewired the way that my brand is going to start working, and it took me the entire year to like fully come up with this concept, and it just kept like adding and adding on, and I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, I was just living my life and trying to make money, because I've just been like literally struggling so hard to make money, because Miami's gotten super expensive and the world has gotten expensive. But naturally through time, I've just like, this concept and like the way it's developed and like all the logistics behind it has just kept like coming to me, and naturally like I've just been like, oh my god, yeah, that makes sense, let me do that. I'm being summoned, I have to go. Okay, we're gonna finish this back in Miami, so bye bye for now. It is currently September 29th. I filmed that intro August like 18th or something like that. I literally filmed this whole second portion of this video of me explaining my brand and everything, and then I went to go edit it last night, and I was like, this is no longer accurate. From August to October, I've already like repivoted what I'm doing with my brand again. Not entirely, but pretty majorly. There aren't enough people, like designers, that show like the entire process behind creating their brand and like all the pivots and everything that they have to do. Like they don't show that because they want to look like they've known it all from the beginning what they're doing. But the reality is that like anyone who's doing anything has repivoted what they're doing 1,000,001 times, because you start to do something, you realize, oh, maybe this isn't working out. So now you're repivoting to do something else that works better, that aligns better. But you had to go through that process of doing that first initial idea before to be able to figure out what the next step and like the next pivot needed to be. So here we are. Me doing that consistently every day. Initially with Vaed, I wanted it to be a very customizable like process for the consumer. So you can go on my website and we have like base designs available. So right now I have the corset, the minimalist corset and the V corset available on my website. You can go choose the corset, and then you pick your size, and then you choose the fabric that you want that corset made out of. And all of the fabrics that I upload have been donated to me, or like I buy wholesale, or I buy dead stock from fabric stores or like from somewhere that like they're trying to clear out their stock. But mostly it would be donated material. So every fabric would vary in yardage. So then the sizes being that it could be made out of vary. So with each fabric, it shows the sizes it can be made out of. That is a process that I have like on my website right now. And the same thing with the jean purses that I was making. You could pick your purse, they're all pre-made, and then you choose the embellishments that you want on it. So you can add safety pins, you can add chains, you can add studs, you can add all of the pendants and all of the whatever. But I had a few people buy from me already for the purses, but a few of them like couldn't picture how the pieces could go together, because my website's not fancy enough, and like I don't got the money to pay someone to like physically be able to put the pendants, like drag them like it's a video game, which is what ultimately what I would want, like a very video game-esque website, like how Nike Ideas, how you can like click and customize your own shoes, and you can like put the colors and it shows up on the shoe. That'd be really cool, but obviously I can't afford that. So, and I knew that it was going to be like that, so I did want to create some already pre-made purses so people could just choose, because obviously people don't either have the time to like go through all of the pendants and everything that I have, because there's a lot, or they don't have the creativity to imagine the pieces on the bag. So I launched the website, and I just like didn't have it in me to like promote it or like advertise it very much. Like I advertised it like a little bit, but like not enough, because it's just not what I want to do. It is, and I spent so much time the whole summer like preparing this whole like inventory, pre-making all the purses, like inventorying all the pendants with my intern, and like organizing them in bags and like with the number, so that every time like someone bought one, like I knew like what number it was, and like this whole system. It was very organized. It was great. But then like as soon as I launched, I was like, if someone orders this, I really don't want to make it. Like I do want to make it, but I don't. And so what I've come to realize is that like I just need to let that go. And this has been something that has been reoccurring in the past few years, where like I'm making these made to order garments, but it makes me so anxious actually getting an order and having to make it, because I don't want to spend most of my days sitting behind a sewing machine sewing all day long. I already did it. I went to New York Fashion Week. I networked with all these people and I was explaining like the whole concept, and like it was really great. And then I went to Refine Shopping's pop-up on that Monday, and Natalia was showing like how popped up there, and I got to meet Louisa, which is the creator of Refine Shopping, and I had FaceTimed her before because I was going to be a part of her marketplace a few years ago. They had a panel and they were speaking about the industry and everything, and like I related to so much what they were saying, and it was things that I had been thinking, but it was so validating hearing it come from them, because I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one who thinks this, that thinks that like the industry is just so rough right now, like especially the fashion industry, and like having your own small business, the amount of small businesses that have shut down because like of the recession, and like everything's so expensive, and also it's like you're trying to promote for people not to overconsume, but buy my things, like buy the clothing that I make, but don't overconsume. But this is why you should buy the things that I make, because they're sustainable and ethical. But like you don't really need them, but you should buy them. I don't know, like it's so impossible for me to like advertise for people to like buy the things that I make, because I don't even think you need them. I don't think you need them. I don't need them. Like I can't afford them. Like I can barely afford anything right now. Like I can't even think to try and buy myself like clothing or anything. And like I know that's not the case for everyone, and people have like, you know, are actually making money and can buy things, but like I still don't want to advertise for people to like overconsume more things that they don't want, and like that's on them at the same time. Like if you really like what I make and you think, oh yeah, that is an investment for me, like that is something that I'll keep forever, that's amazing. But I still like can't find myself to like push and like be able to find those customers, like promote and like tell you why you should buy this, you know? So I came back from New York and I had hosted my first clothing swap, and that went so great. It was kind of a little rough because we did it outside. Like I collaborated with a restaurant and we had tents outside, and we had some vendors, but it was so freaking hot. But people still showed up. Like people showed up and they brought so much clothing, and it was a bring all you want, take all you want. And so I met so many people, and I also like met people that maybe I've known online like locally, and they came and I got to, you know them even more. It just further emphasized that like this is what I want to do. Like I want to be more involved in the community. Like I really want to just like do more things that like I'm able to connect with these people in person, and I'm able to provide like more knowledge or like more like accessibility to like sustainable fashion, because it's free clothing. Like who doesn't love free clothing, and who doesn't like love like cleaning out their closet all the time? Even though what makes me weary about having clothing swaps, and I'm trying to have one every month, is the fact that people are going to go through their closets more and like clean out things, because they know that they can go bring it to the clothing swap and then get more things. And in a way that is overconsumption in its own right, because even if it's free, you're still like consistently getting rid of things to then swap it out and like bring even more things that you're not even sure if you're gonna like either. So I want to make like posts consistently on my page to like be more mindful of like the clothing that you're bringing to the swap and what you're taking, so that so the cycle doesn't continue even if it is free. My goal with Vaed, and like this is like the phrase that I've been using, is giving your clothing and textiles an endless life. We repurpose, repair, and alter resell and recycle your clothing. So repurpose. So basically anything that we get from the clothing swaps left over, because there's gonna be leftovers. I got bags and bags of leftover clothing from the swap still here. I sort through it, and then like keep anything that I think I could repurpose. And there's many things in there that I didn't keep that could be repurposed. Anything could be repurposed, but things that I know that I could in my own style. But that's why I want to collaborate with other upcyclists and other small designers and be able to give them the supplies to upcycle what they want from the things that were donated to me. So basically, let's say I have an abundance of t-shirts from all the clothing swaps. I find an upcyclist, someone who makes t-shirts that they have their own set, or someone who upcycles t-shirts. They have their own set design, and basically I give them the t-shirts, and then they create the designs that they want, and then we sell it on our marketplace on our website, and have that kind of system. Same thing with other things, button-up shirts, whatever. They have the freedom to choose from our stock. Like, we can FaceTime type vibe or Zoom meeting and like choose from the things, or we take photos, you know, like that kind of process, so that I'm able to work with and provide materials for other designers that are so creative and want to sew and want to make these things. And occasionally I do want to sew because I love sewing. I do the alterations, and I love doing alterations, which is really funny because most designers don't. And like, that's a whole meme in the like industry in itself. Like, oh, you know how to sew? Can you fix this? Can you alter this? And everyone's like, no. But I'm like, yes. I will alter that for you, because that's the most sustainable thing. Like, altering clothing to fit you and like repairing your clothing so it lasts longer, like that is the most sustainable thing. And that's the second R, that's repair and alteration. So I already do alteration services here locally, but like I want to be able to have like a more physical spot where people can bring things, and also virtual services on my website. Because we can do a little Zoom meeting. You can put on the garment, show me what you need, and I'll tell you to like safety pin where it is, and I can do it. I'm really good with like measuring with my eyes, if that makes sense. Repairing and altering your clothing is amazing, and I love being able to provide that service. And it makes me so happy to see people like bring something that like they've been wanting to wear for so long, but it just doesn't fit them, and then I can just make it fit them, and now they wear it like a million times. I love that feeling. It's so like satisfying, and I want to continue to provide that service. And then there's reselling. So basically any leftover clothing from the clothing swaps, or like what people donate to me consistently, because people donate things to me all the time, like I resell it on my website. So whether it's materials like fabrics, clothing, whatever, I want to be like a reselling marketplace of like materials and clothing, so that we can keep that endless cycle of like things that obviously weren't swapped, but I don't want to send them to get donated to any thrift stores, because if you don't know, like I can't remember the percentage, but tons of the things that get donated to thrift stores end up just going to landfills or going to third world countries to get resold there, and then it ends up in their landfills. There's a whole cycle, and I'm trying to avoid sending things off where I don't know where they're going. And then there's recycling. So I was able to collaborate with 4 Days for the clothing swap, and they sent me 5 bags. And so any damaged clothing that I received, and I advertise it, you can bring damaged clothing, underwear, socks, whatever, to get properly recycled in fabric scraps. So I sorted through all of the clothing that I got, all those bags, and I did have like a pile where people could put their damaged clothing, but also there were some things in the regular piles that were damaged. Or I also put in there lots of like t-shirts that were like work t-shirts, or like staff, things that like no one is gonna buy, that no one is gonna grab it at a swap. So I sent it to get recycled, and I filled all 5 bags. And so that was really amazing that I was able to collaborate with them and get those recycled. And that's like my that's what I want to consistently keep doing with all these clothing swaps and with my process. There is a clothing textile recycling center here where it's like they shred clothing and all of that. But like you can't just go and physically drop things off or anything and they charge you. So it's like you have to call and get a quote and be like, hi, I have a business where I want to like recycle my things, and they'll give you a quote and tell you. I've been wanting to call, but I haven't. But I want to be able to, if 4 days, like I asked to partner with them consistently, but if they don't want to, then I'm gonna reach out to the local one here in Miami. Because ultimately I want to work with them because they are local, and I'm evading shipping all of these fabric scraps to a different state when I could just be driving to this location, which is ultimately the goal. I'm also going to be hosting like more events consistently, workshops, like teaching people how to do things like upcycle, and also virtually teach classes and like teach people how to alter, teach people how to sew, and like just be more involved in the community and provide this like knowledge and like these skills than just trying to push to sell more clothing. Even though I am still going to create things and like sell pieces, but like it's not going to be the priority. Like I'm not trying to like force myself to make a bunch of things so I can sell them and I have to like advertise to like sell them. Like they're just naturally, I'll make things and then sell them, not be like the main thing. That's something that I just like had to come to terms with, because I feel like I had this dream and this goal for my entire life, and I've been like designing and pursuing this dream since I was 13, and my family and my friends can tell you growing up I was on it. I was always doing internships. I was always like, I was in a fashion class in my school. I was like going every summer. I would go and do like some camp or like something, an internship, to like get as much knowledge as possible. I was always watching YouTube videos. Like I was determined to make this like my life, and I was sewing consistently. And I always told myself that like I wanted to have a business, a brand that made the world a better place. Like I didn't just want to make clothing, and I've literally repeated that to myself since I was like 13. Like I've repeated that to myself, like I don't want to just like make clothing, I want to make a difference. And unfortunately, like to make a difference, I have to make less clothing. I have to just, or I can work and should work with what is already here, like accessible. Like there is so much clothing already in the world, and that doesn't mean that you don't have, like you have to like be an upcyclist and you can't create your own brand and use regular textiles. Like that doesn't mean anything. Like you can do whatever you want. If that is what you're passionate about, if this is like what you want to do it. This is just my story. And that's also one thing with it too. Like I always would compare myself so much with other creatives because people are just so creative. People are so creative and they design such amazing things. And I was never a sketcher. I was always like a maker. I just think of things and I make it. And to be honest, I get so inspired by other people and like other designers and like things that I've seen before. And then I basically remake them into my own way, which is how many people create. But like so many people are so original, and that's amazing. And I would always compare myself and be like, oh, like I'm not good enough, like I'm not there. And that's not true. Like everyone is original in their own way, even if you do get inspired by other people. But it's also like at this point, I'd rather give a platform and like to those people that are already so creative and have those visions and like the passion to create and like have such an amazing story with like each collection. I'd rather like fuel those people in any way that I can, whether it's giving them the materials that they need or like providing them with the knowledge or something, than trying to compete with them. Even though you don't have to compete, but you are competing because like each brand is in a way competing with each other, whether we like it or not. This whole website that I created to like choose your fabric and everything, I'm gonna keep the corset options, but I took down the purses. because I'm actually doing a purse workshop on November 9th where people can, like, I have all the purses already pre-made. People can choose their purse, and then I'm bringing fabric scraps and chains and all the pendants and stuff, and you build your own purse in person in the workshop, which I think is way more fun and more cool than just like me making more purses and selling them. Like, having that workshop is something that, like, is so much more exciting to me. Like, seeing what people come up with on their own, and like how creative people can be in those, when you put them in those spaces. I don't know, that's just what's fueling me. So now I'm changing things up, and I'm gonna be more community oriented, and like, I'm creating a blog on my website so I can share sustainable events that are consistently happening in South Florida, and ultimately I want to grow it to share events that are happening in different cities, and do online workshops, and sell patterns. I already have a pattern that I'm working on that I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna have a YouTube video for it too and everything. I created a Patreon. If you want to follow my Patreon and you want to get all the behind the scenes consistently of what I'm creating, and like I want to share more tips on there and like be more intimate, you can message me. I can answer your questions. I want to do live streams on there. That's not to say that I'm not going to keep creating and sewing, of course, and I mentioned that, but I just want to create either for myself make things for myself, or make things for specific reasons, or like just because I want to. Just create for the sake of creating and not to make money from it. Like, we have just been so consumed to make money from it, and like I'm trying to make money from other things, my job at Peachtree, and like from these other things, workshops, but like not from just making and selling things. I cannot do it anymore, and if you can't do it anymore, it's okay. Like, we're not supposed to. Thank y'all for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this little vlog. In the next coming videos, I think it's like 2, I'm gonna be sharing what I made for New York Fashion Week, even though it already passed. I'm gonna share them anyways. What I made for New York Fashion Week this year. I never finished uploading my series from last year, even though I'm pretty sure I still have all the videos. Thank y'all again. I love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Que pinga!